Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? It's Alexander Hilly123 here, and it's time for a new video. It's the first video in a while with my beautiful face in it. Do not worry, there will be another video with my face in it very shortly. I've got a pickups video on the way in the next week or two, and I've got 2 or 3 playthroughs that I have already completed that are sitting on my hard drive waiting to be completed. So that's very exciting for me to do. Looking forward to all that. And there's a hell of a lot more content to come as well in the latter months of 2015. But today, as you can see by the title, it is all about the Resident Evil 2 remake, which has been announced. And here are my thoughts on it, my hopes, fears and expectations. All very brief and my personal opinions. And of course, some people are going to have differing opinions, and that's absolutely fine. But let's just see what happens. Take off the glasses so you don't get the glare, and also the windows open in here even though it's raining, so you might hear a bit of background noise, and the lighting sucks, but hey, this webcam is bloody terrible. What can we do about it? But anyway, yeah, a few weeks ago it was announced that there would be a remake of the second game. It was about 3 weeks ago that this guy called H, I believe, in broken English, it was true English, ladies and gentlemen, as it's called on the internet. This guy was saying he was pitching it to the main fat cats, the main guys at Capcom, about a remake. What are your thoughts and opinions? What do you want from the game? And a lot of people saw that as a bad thing because it showed a complete lack of direction from Capcom. But listening to the consumers like that and seeing what the majority of them wanted is actually really interesting, and Capcom have truly picked themselves up in the last 12 to 18 months or so. Resident Evil Remaster went down a storm, absolutely brilliant. We've got Zero coming up in January 2016, and now officially the second game is being announced. Because the last thing, surely, that people wanted was for the 7th game to be just like the 6th game was. Because the 6th game, let's admit it, it's a true aberration. It's an absolute disgrace and an embarrassment of Michael Bay-sized proportions, ladies and gentlemen. It's just an absolute mess and a clusterfuck. It really is. Still kind of good fun to play, that's the thing, but it's not Resident Evil anymore, in my opinion. But my main fear, I'm just going to jump straight in here, with the remake is that it will be over-the-shoulder third person. Some of my favourite games are third person over the shoulder, but I think most people want tank controls and those incredible pre-rendered graphics. I mean, with today's technology, they could make the game look absolutely incredible. So it's really exciting in that aspect. But I'm going to get onto a little article I've got on IGN here, which makes me worry that it is still going to be third person over the shoulder. Because with pre-rendered graphics, there's so many little details that they need to put in the game. The little posters that are up in the world, you know, when you're walking through the city, the restaurants. You've played the second and third games of Resident Evil, you'll know what I'm talking about here. Those tiny little details that mean a lot. Yeah, I can play the second game and notice something that I've never seen before. Like a post-it note on a wall, little tiny picture that's on a desk or something like that. I love those little details, the attention to detail, and that's what's really exciting for me about this remake of the second game. But yeah, we've got 4 different scenarios with the original Resident Evil 2. You've got Leon A, Claire A, Leon B and Claire B. They're going to have to implement them all in the game again. But the thing is, it's a really short game when all is said and done. So how much are they expecting people to pay for this remake? Because obviously it is a fresh remake. Back when the original remake came out for the GameCube in 2002, that would have been full retail price. And that would have been fair enough because it's an amazing game. It's a brand new game. Entirely. But obviously the remaster last year wasn't. And they sold it at £15, and I thought that was just about reasonable, and I purchased it. With this, it's completely hard to say. The fact of the matter is, all 4 scenarios of Resident Evil 2, if you know where you're going, if you've played the games before, you're going to complete them within a few hours, you really are. I actually streamed Resident Evil 2 Leon B scenario, which in my personal opinion is the hardest of the 4. Hadn't played it in 4 months, still completed it in 1 hour 57. Now, I grew up with the game, and I played it when I was 8 years old, I bought the official UK PlayStation magazine just to play the demo of the second game, which ended at the RPD police station. Can't believe that. Amazing. I remember it. One of my favourite gaming memories of all time. Absolutely amazing. But nevertheless, it isn't a hard game either, so I'm hoping they have a hard difficulty in there. But that's the thing. How much fresh, totally new content are they going to give us? Because I would say, and this is just an estimate, I'm not sure whether I'd be right here, I'd say there's about 25%-ish new content, new areas in the original Resident Evil remake that wasn't there in the 1996 version of the game. Are the creative minds still there at Capcom to do that? I'm not entirely sure. And I don't know how it works exactly. Are these the same people that worked on the 5th and 6th games? Because if they are, I'm not that confident, to be perfectly honest with you. The creative minds need to be there, because from the first game up until probably Code Veronica X, from 96 to about 2000, the team wouldn't have changed that much. Then it was a fresh team for Zero and Remaster, I do believe, on the GameCube in 2002. But of course, Mr. Shinji Mikami was still there. That guy is the main Resident Evil man. Obviously, he's left Capcom now, and it's no coincidence that the series has gone downhill since then. But if they made the game entirely as it is and put no new content, but it looks amazing, it plays great, everyone's delighted, but they don't really add many new gameplay dynamics, it would still be amazing to play, but I'd feel a little bit shortchanged. I think they've got to put that 25% of extra content in the game, because it is so short. Because although you've got 4 separate scenarios, they are all quite similar. But we'll have to wait and see. But like I said, the graphics, they've got to be amazing. They will look great, regardless of whether it's third person, over the shoulder, or pre-rendered tank controls and all that shit. But I've got a little article that makes me worry that it is going to be for third person over the shoulder, and that is that the Resident Evil 2 fan remake has been shut down by Capcom. There's been quite a few indie developer remakes that have never been released, that have been in production, but because these teams of people don't have the money and the resources, they've never been released. But the main one was actually one called Team 96. You want to search it. They had the graphics somehow of the second and third Resident Evil games, and it looked absolutely amazing. Seriously, Google it. I might put it in the drop-down menu. I was really excited by it, but they stopped work on it about 2 or 3 years ago. But the other one is, what's it called? Resident Evil 2 Reborn. And like I say, that looks like Resident Evil 4, but I really admire these guys for the passion and the love that they put into it, but it looks quirky. It really looks quirky. The rooms, the dimensions, the walls, the enemies, the way that they move, the gun mechanics, it all feels clunky and looks really awkward. Now, I know they probably put a hell of a lot of effort into it, but I'm sorry, I'm going to put that in the drop-down menu. Maybe you guys will disagree with me, that's fine, but I don't like the look of it. And the thing is, Capcom have actually invited these guys to their studios, they already have done, to have a talk, and not just a little 10-minute talk, but proper discussions on how it should be made. And obviously these guys, maybe it's because they just didn't have the technology, but it seemed like they'd prefer it to be third person over the shoulder instead of the old pre-rendered graphics. And what I mean by that is, you walk into a room, the camera's right behind you, walk forward, it changes to the right hand side, walk around the corner to the left, it appears in front of you, and it just changes like that. And that's what I want, and that's what most people want. But anyway, now that Capcom is working on an official Resident Evil 2 remake, a popular fan project, RE2 Reborn, has been cancelled at Capcom's request, and mutually it's been decided that that will be the case. These guys have been very respectful, because obviously Capcom have the rights and all that shit, and they're now doing the official remake, so it's been mutual. But we're honoured to announce that we've been invited to meet Capcom, wrote Invader Games. Capcom called us in advance ahead of the announcement and asked us if we would mind stopping the project, as they had longer term plans for a remake. While it isn't clear whether the Invader Game team will be hired to work on the remake, the studio refers to the opportunity as the biggest professional chance we could get. Invader Games also expressed happiness that their fan remake was among the community efforts that encouraged Capcom to consider making a remake in the first place. Resident Evil 2 Reborn garnered attention late last month with a gameplay trailer showing off Leon S. Kennedy roaming the dark, high-def streets of Raccoon City during the game's opening moments. Unlike the original 1998 survival horror, the Unreal Engine 4 powered remake took an over-the-shoulder approach, similar to Resident Evil 4 and more recent installations in the franchise. And that is, for me, when all is said and done, the biggest question that's got to be asked here. Third person over the shoulder or pre-rendered tank controls? For me, it's got to be the latter every day of the week. And if they took a poll, if Capcom, the Resident Evil Facebook page, took a poll, and 1 million people answered, I reckon it'd be 800,000 to 200,000 would prefer tank controls and pre-rendered graphics. That is what we want. But yeah, how much fresh content is there going to be? The graphics are going to look amazing, but are they going to add Crimson Heads? Are they going to add new enemies, new story? They could do that possibly. Because I think they should do, because it'll be a little bit too vanilla, a little bit too plain, and a little bit too short for a modern day game if they put it exactly as the second game was back in 1998. But nevertheless, when all is said and done, and there are a hell of a lot of questions here, it is a positive thing that Capcom are listening to the fans, and who knows, maybe other game developers will take heed of that as well. Here's hoping. It's really cool though. And also, I'd love a remake of the third game. Could you imagine Nemesis chasing you around? Oh, fucking hell. I can't believe it. Unbelievable. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, got a pickups video to come in the next week or two. Got a few playthroughs in the pipeline as well. And I've got an Xbox One on the motherfucking way. See you soon.